Will motorcycles bring more business or more noise to Nashville? A local business wants to grow. Sherwood Oaks Christian Church is one of the many polling locations in Monroe County that's experiencing a low voter turnout for today's primary election. Many of these storefronts are currently empty, but with the help of a $50,000 grant, these vacant spaces will come back to life. Metro Police are searching for a man who they say fired several shots at an officer. Police say they were investigating reports of a suspicious person in the 3900 block of Breen Drive. That's near 38th and Post on the city's east side. When officers spotted the suspect, he ran away firing several shots at the officer. A second officer was about to fire back but did not hit the suspect. Police lost sight of him and set up a perimeter but were not able to locate the suspect. We will continue to follow the story throughout Weekend Sunrise and bring you more updates as they become available. An update to a story we first told you about as breaking news on the Night Beat. A motorcyclist is killed after leading police on a chase in Hancock and Hamilton counties. Sunrise reporter Dave McNally tells us the series of events that led to that deadly conclusion. Hello, I'm London Swan. Indiana Democrats say Indiana hasn't done enough to close the wage gap. They spoke out today along with equal pay advocates across the nation who are marking Equal Pay Day, the date when the average woman's earnings catches up to what the average man earned last year. Hoosier women earn about 73 cents for every dollar men make for the same work, and the poverty rate for women and girls in Indiana is nearly 17%. Democrats say the first step in addressing the problem is to study it, then do what's necessary to make sure that gap closes. Governor Mike Pence says he believes the way to address income disparity is to promote economic growth. The Indiana Family and Social Services Administration announced this week increased funding for a federal child care voucher program. $23 million was added to the federal child care voucher program, the Child Care Development Fund, which reimburses low-income families in Indiana for child care costs. That's the first increase to the program since 2007. Officials say increased funding will give low-income families more options they can afford. Governor Mike Pence announced today an Indiana tax summit to address simplifying the state's tax code while making its tax climate more competitive. The governor says he's proud of the state's achievements so far, but acknowledges that there's still work to be done. He says the tax summit will bring together Indiana officials and out-of-state experts to look at best practices from around the country and develop fresh ideas to improve the state's tax environment. The summit will take place in late June. Now let's look at the weather for tonight. It'll be partly cloudy with lows in the mid-30s. Now take a look at the 5-day forecast. Wednesday will be mostly sunny with highs in lower 60s and lows around 40. The White House is recommending colleges take additional steps to prevent sexual assaults on their campuses. Indiana University police reported 50 forcible sex offenses in 2012. But sexual health experts say that number is likely quite low because most of the crimes go unreported. Justin Garcia, a researcher at the Kinsey Institute at IU, has been working to better identify sexual assault problems on campus. He says it's important to know not only how many people are sexually assaulted, but how and why.
And we need people to come forward in order to address the problem, because we need to know what happened and how it happened and why it happened. And by people coming forward and courageously sharing their stories with us, then we're able to say, these are some of the commonalities, these are some of the patterns, and this is how we go after those patterns and shut them down.
Indiana University trustees reaffirmed their commitment to addressing sexual assault at a meeting earlier this month, saying they would take, quote, vigorous steps to prevent sexual assault and similar crimes through education and training. The Department of Education released iRead3 data today that shows a slight increase in pass rates from last year. The test is supposed to determine whether third graders can read well enough to move on to the fourth grade, but not all students who fail will be held back. About 86% of Indiana third graders passed the iRead3 test this year, and state law gives students who failed the spring test a chance to retake the test over the summer. Nearly 84% of the third graders in the Monroe County School District passed the test. The disease known as white nose syndrome was first detected in 2006 in New York. It's since made its way to the Midwest with a handful of confirmed occurrences in Indiana. Indiana caves were expected to reopen in April 2010, but McCormick's Creek State Park interpretive naturalist Sam Arthur says the closure was extended when biologists discovered how the disease was spread.
Through a well-traveled caver who'd been over to Europe, had picked up the spores on their caving equipment, brought it back over, didn't properly clean that equipment, and went into one of these caves dropping the spores, and so the animals picked it up.
But state park officials have been closely monitoring the situation and think they can open the caves without much to either bats or humans. Hoosiers now have a little bit more access to some state-owned caves, such as Wolf Cave here at McCormick's Creek State Park. However, other local Indiana caves will require visitors to obtain a special permit to enter.
Wolf Cave, because of its length, because of its size, was one of those that we felt we could open justifiably without negatively impacting our bat populations.
Wolf Cave at McCormick's Creek State Park, Upper Twin, Donaldson, and Bronson Caves at Spring Mill, and Endless and River Caves at Cave River Valley are now open to the public. All other caves on DNR properties will remain closed as biologists try to get a better grasp on exactly what threats white nose syndrome poses. John Mellencamp will open up his No Better Than This tour at the Indiana University Auditorium Friday night. The Indiana legend will perform 2 sold-out shows here in Bloomington, where he calls home.
I have been friendly with Indiana University for about 25 years, and I just thought that it was a good place, and I haven't played in Bloomington for probably 10 years. So I thought it was the right venue, and I don't have to go very far to rehearse.
Being a rock star all his life, John reminisces on the days that jump-started his career.
I never really cared about money, but I always wanted to get paid. You know, I never really cared about, you know, being on the radio, but I loved hearing my songs on the radio.
His new CD, No Better Than This, was released in mid-August and has 13 new tracks. The album was recorded at several historic locations throughout the United States. Mellencamp's tour will last until next spring, touring places such as New York, California, and Canada. London Swan, WTIU News. Well, for Sean Ash, I'm London Swan. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful weekend.